Congress implies UFOs have non-human origins. Members of a key national security focused committee believe that objects of unknown origin are demonstrating remarkably advanced technology by moving seamlessly between space, air, and water. In Congress, where legislation is drafted, debated, and enacted, clear and concise definitions are of paramount importance, as military air crews increasingly encounter unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Lawmakers recently made several striking revisions to the definition of a UFO. Key among them, the explosive implication that some UFOs have non-human origins. As first reported by researcher Doug Johnson, a draft bill approved unanimously by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence rebrands UFOs as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon, explaining the definition to include objects in space and under the oceans significantly broadens the scope of a muscular new office tasked by Congress with investigating these UFOs. The revised definition of UFO also includes transmedium objects, which, according to lawmakers, transition between space and the atmosphere, or between the atmosphere and bodies of water. In short, members of a key national security focused committee believe that objects of unknown origin are demonstrating remarkably advanced technology by moving seamlessly between space, air, and water. A report accompanying the legislation notes that transmedium threats to United States national security are expanding exponentially. It strains credulity to believe that lawmakers would include such extraordinary language in public legislation without compelling evidence. Perhaps members have seen the classified sensor data that promoted former President Trump's Director of National Intelligence to state that UFOs exhibit technologies that we don't have and that we are not capable of defending against, among several other eyebrow-raising comments. Most strikingly, Congress's new definition of UFO excludes man-made objects. Over the last 7 decades, most UFO sightings involved man-made objects such as misidentified aircraft, balloons, satellites, or drones. Yet now, according to Congress, man-made objects should not be considered under the definition as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena. Moreover, in a congressional directive, objects identified by the new UFO office as man-made will be passed to appropriate Department of Defense and intelligence community offices for further analysis. Congress, in short, is forcing the government to focus on objects that are not man-made. Imagine how the new UFO office identifies a highly advanced drone flying in sensitive airspace under the draft legislation, regardless of the drone's origin, be it Chinese, Russian, or otherwise. The UFO office must immediately stop investigating and hand the case over to another government entity. This implies that members of the Senate Intelligence Committee believe, on a unanimous bipartisan basis, that some UFOs have non-human origins. After all, why would Congress establish and task a powerful new office with investigating non-man-made UFOs if such objects did not exist? Make no mistake, one branch of the American government implied that UFOs have non-human origins and is an explosive development. It is also part of a remarkable shift in official attitudes towards UFOs. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, many senior government officials believed that UFOs had interplanetary origins, but a series of still unexplained encounters in the summer of 1952 sparked Cold War national security fears among defense and intelligence agencies. As a result, the U.S. government initiated a campaign to debunk and discredit all UFO sightings, no matter how credible. For decades, officials mocked any suggestion that UFOs had extraterrestrial origins, but not anymore. Now let's remember, this article only concerns U.S. sightings and reports. There are many other countries that are more serious about such sightings and reports. Now, not anymore. They don't debunk and discredit them. In discussions and interviews, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson suggested that UFOs encountered by military air crews in recent years have otherworldly origins. Otherworldly origins. In other words, they're not from this world. NASA, it should be noted, is proceeding full force on an unprecedented scientific study of UFOs. Former CIA Director John Brennan stated that UFOs might, quote, constitute a different form of life, end quote. According to James Woolsey, a fellow ex-CIA director, he said something is going on that is surprising to experienced pilots, end quote. As Top Gun trained aviators remain convinced that they observed objects not of this world, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, America's top spy, has not ruled out extraterrestrial origins for UFOs. Moreover, former President Clinton refers reflexively to the high likelihood of otherworldly life in the universe when asked about UFOs. For his part, former President Obama speculated openly about contact with extraterrestrial life when asked about recent military UFO encounters. After the customary giggles and smirks that still accompany any mention of UFOs died down, both Clinton and Obama adopted a serious matter-of-fact demeanor when discussing the topic. Clinton in particular scolded a television audience for laughing when a host asked him about UFOs. Of note, former presidents continue receiving the government's most sensitive intelligence briefings. Unsurprisingly, this remarkable shift in attitudes towards UFOs is fostering a broader, richer discussion of the phenomenon. Comedian and political commentator Bill Maher, for example, recently theorized that UFOs are intentionally revealing themselves to fighter pilots. He may be onto something. The geometrically reconstructed flight path of a well-known 2015 UFO encounter off the U.S. East Coast indicates that the object reacted as a Navy fighter jet attempted to sneak up behind it. Importantly, the object's movements did not suggest hostility as much as a desire to be observed by the aircrew, which ultimately flew right up to the thing. A UFO involved in the now famous 2004 Tic Tac incidents appeared on radar at the precise location of a rendezvous point known only to a small group of aviators and radar operators. 10 years later, two fighter jets nearly collided with a UFO, hovering at the exact location and altitude of an entrance point to a military training range. To Maher's point, some UFOs appear to move and position themselves in ways that make their presence obvious to nearby military air crews. With Congress openly suggesting that UFOs have non-human origins, this behavior is particularly intriguing. This is by Marek von Rennenkamp from The Hill in its Unvetted Reality. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.